Dobra. Okay, so I was in, it was in Ptuj that we got going this idea of invitation for the Nomad Dance Institute. This is how I remember that I entered, and it was just this very raw idea in the beginning, but somehow we felt there is some, intuitively we felt that there is something precious, potent in it. So we pursued it, and actually then it turned out to be very interesting in keep on coming to trust this initial idea of invitation. So by inviting someone else, you not exclude, but your proposal cannot be invited. At least me, I kept on coming back to this idea and intuition, and checking if this intuition is still driving me to trust and that there is something in this invitation, because there was a lot of issues, misunderstandings, problems, and so on. And for me this was kind of exciting, and how this will come about, also because it turns around all the way how to produce, how to organize a project, a community of projects. So to produce, to organize, and artistically how to approach it, and also from the point of view of research. For me, it was also closer to the step of my belief, so it resonated with my belief that actually research, education, creation, and producing, and reflections it's a one creative process. So it doesn't matter where you start. Do you start from how we will produce this? But when you ask yourself, this is also already what we will produce, and then when you're thinking of what we will produce is you think of you already learn yourself, teach yourself how to do it, because it's not existent in the nearby environment. So in this sense, I call it it's a way of seeing it, and this invitation brought up this because it suddenly abruptly everything we know or we think we know. So this was my meeting, and what were my expectations and wishes were not there. I was more, my wish was that we will play and be playful about it. And usually is that these playful propositions stay on a very micro level, micro in sense of 5 people or 3 people or 10 people, and here was the whole community with the potential of being even bigger. And for me this was exciting, and I was looking forward to it, so not really special wishes about it. For the meeting in 2013 in September in Ljubljana, I was kind of in between role. I was not part of organizational team, so basically I was guest there. So this was kind of outer position, but inner was also because I was in contact with everyone that was organizing, because basically we live in the same city, and secondly we are all connected somehow and we work together also, so I got to know also the process. So in this way, without taking responsibilities in a way, I knew how it was organized and expectations and how thoroughly it was prepared in a way. Maybe thoroughly is not the right word, would be more with care, really prepared with care and the best beliefs and wishes for it to blossom, for the idea to blossom, and to see how it will go about. And then for me, it was interesting to observe from the research point of view the how people manage the confusion. Basically, people were confused, and then it was interesting to observe the different strategies, what to do and how to deal with confusion. And confusion was based on a lot of stuff. So some people didn't have enough information or felt that they don't have enough information. Some felt that there was not enough time. When someone got understood the idea of invitation and NDI, I don't know, yeah, realized, wow, but wait a minute, no, it has a danger of marketplace, and because we don't have enough time, it will become marketplace, which some people felt as well. And for me, was basic sensation was more, again, not sensation, but my approach is about looking for playful moments in it, because it got really stuck and hard and kind of, yeah, serious, people losing distance to what they are doing. So people that I'm used to also that can keep the distance or can observe themselves even in more intense processes. So this also, maybe the key point for me was, or maybe before, so I also felt confused and a confusion where to enter, how to enter, and then yeah, I played, so I went with the flow. It's like you spill the water on the surface, or I don't know how to say, a geographical surface, like, you know, and then the water flows somewhere. This was my experiment, and I was totally okay with it. Maybe the key point was when there finally we pushed together to the point where invitation should start practically, no? So the propositions were there, and then invitations should start. I also proposed something, and I actually, there was a moment that I felt it really got stuck and people don't know what to do, and I just decided, and I screamed because I liked it very much, the idea of Kai Stöger, of mapping. I said I invite Kai Stöger, and I said the reasons why I invited, basically also because my proposition was very connected to her proposition. So by inviting her, I can also, this was also the deal with NDI invitations, that you don't just invite, but you also help them. First you take part in the project, secondly artistically, but secondly you also help production wise, financially wise, organization wise, for the project to be realized and to get going. And so I had, for me was super motivation to go with Kai's proposal, because also I could exercise my proposal in hers. Actually turned out, then it became B mapping, that we actually joined the two, we merged in a way the two proposals. Maybe the right word is not merged, we are still in a kind of, we let the two proposals, the mapping and the B side, what I proposed, let them have contact and see how they merge, if they merge, or how they communicate. But maybe later about that. So I kind of also, but the idea was also to kind of break this kind of stuck feeling of the, and actually how I sensed was then it started the thing of, yeah, more market or discussion started. So people started to invite, and I wanted to basically just introduce a playfulness about it also. And another thing that was also symptomatic, I think, for me in a way, I wanted to show that actually it turned out, I didn't know that, but it turned out that Kai proposed mapping as a tool to moderate the discussion there. So it was not actually direct proposal, which I misunderstood. I understood that she's proposing it as a research project that could have, that first there is a research about it, and then maybe there is some artistic outcome of that research. So basically it was not artistic research, which I also enjoyed. This is how I understood it. That first you have a research which is on cognition, I would say. So how we perceive space and mapping, how we map notions, feelings and stuff like that. And then to research this, what are the potentials for some artistic implications and maybe then project or a product that can come out of it. So it already was kind of, so intuitively was there, the B mapping finally became a kind of child of all this and confusion and playfulness. So for me, what was there? This and yeah, I think it was what I sense with most of people is that it was overwhelming in many senses. So there was no anchor point for many people, and then, which in a way I enjoy, I must say, because it brings out things that a bit of survival, kind of survival strategies. Yeah, so if we go deeper in B mapping, the question is what B mapping is. B mapping is dealing with the proposal of Kai was that we are facilitators of processes of a group of people, which means, for example, people that regularly meet can be a bunch of people meeting together every week. To give a bit funny example maybe. And what we would do is be there at one meeting with them and map their behavior, what happens, what's going on. Meaning that we would extract maybe something that they say, something we notice, the way they behave, what they say, how they relate to each other. Then with Kai and later also Jasmina Založnik joined the project, we would then discuss and do a map, so extract few notions, ideas that were at the meeting and prepare a map. But this is a 3D map, so this is the main kind of shift that we are used to map the ideas in 2D, on table or paper. And here it would be a 3D map, which means we would go in the same space as they were. They have regular meetings and connect some notions to some objects, or let them connect objects and notions that we would prepare, or we would help them prepare objects that they would then connect some notions to it. And then they can rearrange these objects, which means just rearrangement of also relations and between notions, relations, people, whatever. And what is hypothesis there is that because you are in the map physically, you start to think and see and feel differently about the regular meetings you have, and maybe something can be changed or facilitated in a also playful way. So this was the kind of first part of research where we are at now. So due to not so many finances, so not so much money, though we applied, but we were not that successful. We don't have that regular meetings ourselves, so Jasmina, Kai and me. And also because of life-changing, I don't know, Kai going to study summer, as well Jasmina, and so it's difficult, just this production thing is hard. Also because we don't have, none of us is producer, so it's also a bit more difficult. So this is where we are. We would like to continue. We did some B mapping. Basically, we introduced to the B map to the NDI projects, the groups of NDI project. We proposed what I just said now. There were some responses from 3 projects, I think, but we haven't physically done any of it yet, also due to money. But maybe it's also too abstract or like unknown, the proposal. People would need to see how this goes about, and then it would be easier for them to decide whether it's good for them to do that or to invite us. But beside that, so we are there. We would like to continue. We are trying to find out how. And how. Also in times of time, how in time-wise. Co-teaching project that Dejan Srhoj is dealing with. So together with Gisela, I'm part of the, let's say, core team. Then I was also invited or participated, let's say, at a folk dance project that Gisela organized a little part in Berlin, which was called Tanzimhof, and she invited me to help prepare it and to explore it together with Elena, that was also there. And this Tanzimhof was a little research made also for folk dance that she's she's managing with Dragana. Yeah, others? I think I'm not. And of course I'm doing NDI blog with you. So Gregor and Jana are editors of NDI blog. So my wish is, I mean, the strong, as of BMAP, to go back with co-teaching and folk dance, I'm part of it and I follow, and when there's action I do it, but which I'm taking care of together with Kaya and Yasmina is B-mapping and NDI blogging. So this is the active kind of, that I'm more active in it. Yeah, and NDI blog, we're now concluding what we made a deal about and with Dejan. So Dejan invited us that Jan and Gregor, we are editors for a year, and we are now at the end of that period, let's say. Out of that was born also a website, okay, that we took care of blog and a newsletter time to time. And at the end was born also this idea of to make some interviews, also this interview is part of it, in order to, in a way, to map where we are at NDI, since this is lacking, so kind of this idea of bringing knowledge back, and not that we bring the knowledge back through interviews, but more to map where we are in order to trigger maybe one part that is really heavily missing, which is how to bring knowledge back to community NDI. The most exciting future of NDI would be to keep the emphasis on research, and both what I heard going around is 2 formats. One is to have this 2-year period or 3 years period where new projects are invited to NDI, and in this format is also that, and then the projects have 3 years to become independent anyway and to continue if they want to continue. And yeah, the other format was less clear, which would be that this project continue or go somewhere, and also maybe they find some connection points which would be really good, I think, to, I don't know, I saw potential of course joining forces or results or knowledge, not just to exchange knowledge, but to cooperate together on where it's needed, like the results of archiving and results of advocacy can be really useful to each other, no? I see already potential there, so this would be great. But in a way that doesn't need to be within Nomad Dance Institute anymore, or it can be, but not necessarily financed through, not to expect the finances from NDI as such. That NDI is more like Valilnica. The Valilnica is where you, how is that, startup companies in a way, no? So where you put eggs and then eggs, you help eggs to ripen and hatch, yes. Yeah, that's, I think the stress should continue be research. I think it doesn't have space enough and it's not legitimate enough yet, the research in arts. It's also specific, it's not a scientific research, it's artistic research. And it, in a way, for me, the first thing, and here is a little bit happening already, this, to really make it independent of artistic project or a product. So that really it's a research, you know, I have hypotheses, or I would like to not just test, but I have this idea and I need 2 years to research on it. Means I will try it in different conditions and with different proposals and see the result, and maybe this can be used then for artistic project.